Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be talking you through my team selection for double game week 34. To begin with, in goal, I've opted for Bernd Leno for his two fixtures this week against Manchester City and Liverpool. Although this is probably the worst double game week you could ask for from a defensive point of view, with both City and Liverpool scoring a ton lately, Leno has the chance of racking up a serious amount of save points, and there's also the off chance he faces a penalty. I've decided on going for the Fulham goalkeeper over Jason Steele this week, because recently we've seen him dropped for Robert Sanchez, and I'd rather have a keeper guaranteed to play two fixtures in a double game week. First up in defence is Kieran Trippier for his home match against Southampton. Although this will likely be a week where we try to field as many double game weekers as possible, we probably shouldn't overlook single game week teams on good form, especially if they're facing poor opposition. We saw last weekend just how dominant the Magpies can be at home, with that giant 6-1 win over Spurs, and I can see this match going a similar way, as Newcastle's press will likely be too much for the Saints to handle. A clean sheet and an attacking return could be a real possibility for Trippier in this one. Having just returned from injury, it was surprising to see Luke Shaw play a full 120 minutes in the FA Cup semi-final against Brighton, although we've seen on multiple occasions this season how Ten Hag doesn't like to rotate his players too much. Whether he plays at left back or centre back, I still think Shaw is a decent pick for this week with two fixtures against Villa and Brighton. Apart from the fact that Man United, on the whole, have been defensively solid, we've also seen Shaw take plenty of corners and free kicks for the Reds, so it's possible for him to return FPL points through more than just clean sheets. We saw Nathan Ake being subbed off due to what appeared to be a hamstring injury in the match against Bayern Munich the other week, so my first thought is that he'll likely not be back in time to play this double game week. However, due to the nature of these two fixtures in Fulham and West Ham, I may as well start him in case he were to make a surprise return to action, because I'd expect City to keep at least one clean sheet across the game week. The good thing with lining up with a 4-4-2 is that I've got decent reinforcements in attack on the bench to slot in for Ake if he were to be unavailable. I've got two free transfers available this week, and one move I'll almost certainly be making is to bring in Trent Alexander-Arnold, most likely for Castagna. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen Klopp change up Liverpool's formation, which has seen Alexander-Arnold move into more of a defensive midfield role, where he's able to receive the ball far more often and redistribute it around the pitch. Many of these passes are fed through the channel to the likes of Salah, or sent over the top for players like Jota or Darwin to run onto. With two home matches this week against Tottenham and Fulham, I'm almost certain Trent will be my transfer in. Mo Salah joins the midfield for Liverpool's home fixtures against Tottenham and Fulham. After an inconsistent 22-23 Premier League season, Liverpool have established some pretty good form over the last month or so, and what's better from an FPL point of view is the fact that they're scoring more goals. Salah has now returned in his last 3 matches, and he's arguably a good captain option this week for two promising looking fixtures at Anfield. It'll be interesting to see when Liverpool get their next penalty, whether Salah steps up to take it. Even so, he looks to be a good option for the remainder of the season. Joining the 4-man midfield is Alexis McAllister for Brighton's double game week versus Wolves and Man United. Brighton were unfortunate to lose their FA Cup semi-final tie against Man United on penalties just a few days ago. On another day, they would have converted their chances and progressed. In that game, we saw the return of Joel Veltman, which might mean that moving forwards, McAllister is moved up into a more advanced attacking position on the pitch behind the striker, which definitely makes him a more desirable fantasy asset. After playing 120 minutes the other night, I hope he's recovered and ready to start this game week. Another player who completed 120 minutes just a few days ago was Mitoma, and I'm starting him alongside McAllister this week for Brighton's 2 home matches. With Mitoma playing so much football lately, there is a chance he gets a rest in one of these 2 fixtures, or gets subbed early, but I feel I have to start him for the upside when he is on the pitch. With 11 attacking returns in the Premier League since the restart in Gameweek 17, Mitoma is arguably one of the top players in the division since the turn of the year, and with lots of double game weeks remaining, I don't think he'll be leaving my team this season. If he wasn't just returning from injury and playing so many minutes lately, Marcus Rashford would definitely be a viable captain option this week with 2 matches against Villa and Brighton. Holding on to Rashford looked to be the right move back in Game Week 31, especially for those of us who played our free hit in Game Week 32. Although Man United progressed to the FA Cup final, they don't have any other competitions to concentrate on while pursuing a top 4 spot in the Premier League, so I assume Rashford will continue to start in the league in either that left wing spot or as United's main striker. At this moment in time, I've given the vice captaincy to Salah and given Haaland the captain's armband, but with a congested fixture schedule for City, I'll be keeping a close eye on Haaland's minutes as to whether I decide on swapping the armband over. I'm recording this video before Game Week 33 matches have been played, so the result of the Arsenal-City game could also have a huge impact on whether Pep decides to start or rest Haaland for City's upcoming league fixtures. Having said that, matches against Fulham and West Ham look just too good to ignore for the Premier League's top goalscorer. With the return of Diogo Jota from injury, Darwin Núñez has been a frustrating own in FPL, as he's only started 1 of Liverpool's last 5 league fixtures. As I mentioned before, I do have 2 free transfers available for this week, so alongside bringing in Trent, there is the option to swap Darwin for a player like Jota, but it seems like too much of a sideways move, and my first thought is that carrying 2 transfers into Game Week 35 could be very useful. With 2 home fixtures this week against Spurs and Fulham, you'd have to say that Darwin is a good differential to own, so long as he gets enough minutes. Which means that making the bench this week is Jason Steele, Solanke, Eze and Neco Williams. With Nathan Ake being an injured out, I'm happy with having Dominic Solanke as first sub, as he's more than capable of returning against a leaky Leeds defence. I've currently got the armband on Haaland, but my rank is just inside the top 1 mil, so I might be tempted to go for a differential captain in the likes of Salah, or perhaps even McAllister if he continues playing that more advanced role, to see if I can make ground over other fantasy managers around my rank. That concludes my Game Week 34 team selection. What do you make of the team, and do you have any dilemmas of your own? Drop me a comment down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. As always, I wish you all massive green arrows for the upcoming game week.